Welcome to the Spiritual Deep Dive in 5 podcast. So glad you could join us to spend some time reflecting on God and His love for each of us today. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. That way you'll never miss out on any of our content. The Spiritual Deep Dive podcast is posted Monday through Friday by Christ Church of Flagstaff here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you can find more information about our church online at ccof.church. Thank you so much for watching, and we are so excited to see what God is going to do in your life because you are committed to spending time with Him. Almost all of Paul's letters to churches, to people like you and I back in the ancient world, started with the phrase somewhere at the very beginning, grace and peace. And I said a couple episodes back, as we're talking about Galatians this week, that grace and peace really are the opposite of where you and I find ourselves stuck many times, which is wages and worry. Grace means freedom. You were given a gift. Wages is you got to earn everything. And peace, shalom, is rest. It's tranquility. And it's not free from problems, but it's a life that's integrated, it's whole. And worry, well, we don't need a description of worry. We can just look in the mirror, right? I mean, we're worried all the time. And I love, as Paul's written through this letter, he gets to this conversation in chapter 5 of Galatians about freedom. And remembering wages and worry and grace and peace are going to be so important for this quick, deep dive in Galatians 5. Is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm. Do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. He goes on to talk about some of these religious rules that he is calling the yoke of slavery, and this like earning, this wages that people in Galatia, in this church, and even still today, all over the world, we struggle with grace. We struggle with not trying to earn. And then we kind of get over that struggle, and we find ourselves on one hand trying to earn God's approval, make sure we do more good than bad. And on the other hand, in certain corners of our life, we do talk about freedom. We talk about grace. And we say, and I've said, and you said, well, I can do whatever I want. God has forgiven me. Jesus has forgiven me. It's freedom. Other Christians, other people, they can't tell me what to do. They can't tell me how to live. And we really go back and forth. And what I find is, I don't know anybody that's all wages and earning or all freedom and using, making grace cheap, as Paul talks about in Romans 8. It's not ever that I'm always like one or the other, but I pick my spots. I find the things in my life I don't want to give up, and I use freedom. I find the areas of my life where I'm good, I'm a little bit more successful than others, and I use wages. And I go back, maybe you too, but listen to this. He keeps going. He's saying all this about running the good race and all the things that are so wonderful in chapter 5. And then verse 13, you, my brothers and sisters, you are called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Don't use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. See, here's the thing. If I'm doing all the right things to earn, that's wages. I'm not relying on grace. I'm not trusting God. I'm trusting Chris. You do it too sometimes. But if I have all this freedom and I don't have to earn, and I use all of my freedom, I take the freedom I have to not be religious, and I use it to just make myself happy, indulge the flesh. I do the things I want to do. Well, then I don't understand grace any better than the person trying to earn it, the legalist. I just don't. You see, you and I have a freedom from religion. We have this freedom in Christ to choose any place in the world, really any job, pretty much, any location, any way that we can live. We can do it in freedom. We can use grace and peace everywhere around the world. God gives us so much. He gives us a blank check, but not a blank check of selfishness and what makes Chris happy and what do I want to do today or not do today. Friends, he gives us a blank check of love. Serve one another. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you bite and devour each other, watch out. or you will be destroyed by each other. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you'll be not gratifying the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. He's saying, don't be selfish. Use your freedom to care for one another. Use the freedom you have from all the religious stuff. Use it to show love.